Happy May the 4th, everyone. May the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, and I love Star Wars, so I hope you join me later for my Star Wars antics that will inevitably be happening. So today I want to talk to you about my experience with anxiety and panic attacks because, again, I'm not your therapist. I do not have all the answers. I don't have a lot of answers, really. But I am hoping through my testimony and playing witness to whatever you need from me, I am hoping that you will either have a Me Too response and feel like you've been seen and have someone that you can openly talk to, or you will see how I am dealing with things and going through things, and someone you love might also be responding to these things. And this will help you to maybe have better insight or compassion to the situation. So let's start at the beginning. Before it had a name, I had anxiety and panic attacks in my life. My dad passed away when I was 6, and this is where things all started for me. Two of my diagnoses, PTSD and general anxiety disorder. So anxiety is a constant presence of worry, and then panic attacks are extreme moments that ramp up our fight or flight response, and it can cause a very physical response. So there are a few strong moments from my childhood. After my dad passed away, my mom would drop me off at school, and every morning she would say, "I love you," and I would always say it back because that's when, you really cling and you're like, oh, I need to take this seriously. Well, for whatever reason, we had a disagreement, and I shut the door and walked away without saying I love you. I freaked out. I freaked out because I was convinced my mom was going to die in a car accident because I didn't say I love you. Panic attack. And then there's another episode I had where we were going to the beach, and we were on one of those really tall bridges that have the turn thing to let the big boats through. And we were stopped, and my mom got out to videotape the cool scenery and the fact that we were on this bridge while this boat was going underneath. And I was convinced she was going to get swallowed up by the ocean. I had no idea how this was going to happen. I just knew it was going to happen. It was going to happen. She's going to get swallowed up by the ocean and die. So I laid under the seat and had my panic attack. Still to this day, I do not like going over bridges because that moment was so powerful for me. So bridges are not my favorite thing. That was fun. And then I also started having night terrors, and I don't know where the violence came from, but they were usually pretty violent. And I remember a lot of those dreams. And then also, I was convinced I was going to die in my sleep when I was like 8 or so. And so what I would do is I would write my burial wishes on a piece of paper and either leave it by my pillow or on my desk, so whoever found my body the next day would know what to do with me. Yep, convinced. So that was, that was the beginning of my journey with anxiety, and it was a powerful beginning. And then anxiety kind of evolved once I got to high school, because then you have all of your, traditional anxieties mixed in with hormones, which is fantastic. I had anxiety about where I was going to sit, how I was going to respond when they called my name. Like, do I say here or present? And then also I figured out I have test anxiety. And I say have because I went to a Star Wars trivia night not long ago and did very poorly. I know a lot about Star Wars. Star Wars has been in my life for a very long time. But it felt like a test, and I did bad. So still to this day, test anxiety. And then I would, just not sleep well. I started to journal about the time, or I'd write the time up at the top of my journal entry just to kind of keep track of how late I was staying up. And And I would fall asleep once I got exhausted. Like that was how I functioned. I would be awake until I could not be awake any longer. And 2001 was the first time I ever wrote, if only I knew what was wrong with me. And then that continued for the rest of my life. Like, it doesn't feel like an easy answer. It's not an easy answer. Let's not pretend. But yeah, so that's when I started to notice that my brain, or remembering that my brain just does not function without anxiety. Like, I would talk to my friends and they, their thoughts were not the same as my thoughts. And that was fun. But yeah, so back to how it affects different people. So, anxiety is the constant worry about a future or present, and it robs us of our future and our present. But again, I really don't have a lot of answers for how to overcome the anxiety. Now, for me, I have my faith. I go to church, I read my Bible, and it does bring me peace, or at least gives me some answers as how to approach whatever it is I'm worrying about. Like yesterday, St. Mark's, which is where I attend church, well, now watch church, he mentioned that Moses cries out to God and says it's all too much. And then God, sends, some men to help. Now, in my case, I have ladies in my life and they help me get through a lot. But, that saying where, Moses is just like, it's too much. I relate to that. Absolutely. There is so much going on and I get so overwhelmed and it just feels all too much and I don't even know where to start. But then there's also Matthew 6:27. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? And that reminds me that I need to be present. Like, I cannot change a future that hasn't happened, but I can respond to my present. Yeah, sure, I can have a game plan for the future, but what I need to focus on is my current situation and my present, things that are happening in my life, because I can't wish those away. That's not how to live. That is not a great way to live. Now, panic attacks are quicker and more powerful moments of anxiety. When I have a panic attack, the aftermath is exhausting. My whole body feels like it's been attacked. So panic attacks, you usually absolutely cannot function or you overfunction. It's a fight or flight response. Now, if I have a trigger of some sort where death is involved or, severe disappointment or guilt is involved, I just stop. I just freeze. My whole body just quits. And I get this really strange response of hot and cold at the same time. Now, if I feel cornered in a situation, I will come out swinging. Like, those are my options. Freeze or come out swinging. Now, let's talk about a little funny thing that happened yesterday. So one of the things that happens when I overworry is I get migraines. Well, I started to get a migraine yesterday because I was thinking about all the things I had to do this week. So I went to go lay down, put a pillow over my head, and all of a sudden there was this really loud, long sound. Most people would think it's an aircraft. I was convinced it was Jesus coming for the rapture and he was going to forget me. Convinced. And I laugh about these things because if I didn't laugh, I'd cry, which, don't get me wrong, I cry. Sometimes I laugh and cry. It's fun. Now, anxiety manifests differently in everyone's bodies, but for me, like I said, I get migraines. I have my back issues because I carry all of my tension in my back. It's fun. It can also affect your digestive system and your cortisol levels, which your cortisol levels help regulate your immune system. So if they are heightened and on high alert, you are going to have low immunity to things. And then, of course, there's hives and rashes, which are fun because everyone can see those. Those are just different things. And I always say, if you don't slow down, your body will do it for you. Anxiety is, something I function with on a daily basis. I, of course, have medication and therapy, and I'll share 2 images that I've done for my journaling. But I also want to give you some Star Wars quotes to leave you with that I feel help me with my anxiety. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Of course, said by Yoda. Anxiety is a type of fear. It manifests, and the more you fear something, the more it rules your life. So I would listen to Yoda, avoid the dark side. And then one of the more recent films, hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night. And that is by General Leia Organa. These are, things that I use to help me get through things. Is I like to enjoy quotes, and I like to look up things on Instagram that make me feel, again, seen, because I like to know other people are struggling with these things. And then, of course, I pray daily. Some of you who don't have faith might think that, how could I believe if I feel like I've been abandoned? Well, here's the thing. I don't feel like I've been abandoned. I feel like some of my brain functions this way so that I can approach things from a different angle. Sure, I would like to be completely free of anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm working through it. But right now, I'm hoping that it is being used to help other people, because again, May is going to be a story of compassion and witnessing and testimony, and I want you to reach out to me at any given point in time. You will never be bothering me, and you will never scare me. So that is what I want to leave you with today is, anxiety, panic attacks, they're scary. If you're having one, go ahead, text me. I will be glad to talk you from that ledge. And I will also post my images that I did, because I feel like they're good examples of anxiety and panic attacks and how to soothe. So, may the 4th be with you. Do or do not, there is no try. See you all tomorrow.